स्टार्टिंग ही थोडं अपसेट आहे की काही मच
Another one is custom annotations. User-defined annotation is also called as custom annotation. Same. Another one is system-defined annotation. Just like at the red override, it is what system-defined annotation. Whenever I declare my annotation, that annotation is called as the user-defined annotation. Wait, in the interview sessions, I must elaborate what is a custom annotation. I must elaborate. So anyway, in my last class, I already give you some ideas about the concepts. Okay. So now today I enter into another powerful topic. Now, after sharing 25 years in this industry, most of my student is in high level. They always tell that sir, हम लोग जब जाते हैं ना इंटरव्यू लेने के लिए हम गेस करते हैं कौन आपका स्टूडेंट है by asking the questions from dynamic method dispatch, because this part so clearly you explain that so easily when student describe, then we understand that this person is your student. Now, anyway, I just explain what is dynamic method dispatch. Now, see, I just show you an example of dynamic method dispatch. Dynamic method dispatch is only possible in case of method overriding. And you know that method overriding is only possible in case of inheritance. So without inheritance, method overriding never be possible. Now see, I have a class A. Take an example. Now check A is a class. Sorry, A is a class. Here you see that it has some member. I just write here int data is equal to 12. Let us pass. I declare one instance variable. The value of the variable is 12. I just write here void. Here you see void increment. Check here. Increment is a method where I can write a data plus plus. I increase the value of data only for one times. Now you see, I just write here class B extends word A. B is the child class of word A. Now in this case, I show you, I just use the red override. Now, what I instruct to the compiler, I instruct the compiler that the base class method is override in the child class. Now, I am a programmer. Now, आप लोग देखो मैं क्या कर रहा हूं, I want to override. मेरा main intention है the base class method को override करना in the child class. So I use this annotation and I give a constraint to the compiler. A compiler, please check the syntax is right or wrong. If the syntax is wrong, then generate for the error. Now, what I did, I just write here public, there is a void increment. Now, what I can do here, I just write here, there is a data plus equal 8. I just increase the value of data is 4. Now you see what actual dynamic method dispatch is. I just elaborate. हम लोग जब डायनामिक मेथड डिस्पैच यूज कर रहे हैं ना, व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ डायनामिक मेथड डिस्पैच? कैन यू प्लीज टेल मी? डायनामिक मेथड डिस्पैच का मतलब क्या है? डायनामिक मेथड डिस्पैच इज a technique through which Java supports runtime polymorphism. Java support कर रहा है क्या? That is a method. Or Java supports runtime polymorphism. It supports. Anyway, I just do one thing. Check here what I can do. Here I override the method. Now you see, I just write. Take an example. Public class. What the class name is? Demo is the class. Here you see, I just write here public foreign static void. Here you see, there is a name, but I pass here string args. I just enter it to the. Now, when I write AAA, you tell AA is the reference of which class? A class, that is the base class. I am declaring the reference of the base class. Now fine, there is no problem. I'm able to declare the reference of which class? Base class. But now I write A is equal to new B. What I can do here? I'm constructing the object of the child class. You know that you know the rules. You know the fundamental concept that when I construct the object of the child class, at that moment what happens? It will occupy the memory from which area? That is a hit area. Object is constructed for which class? That is child class. Listen. You know that the child class object must occupy the member of the child class and a member of the base class. In the base class, there is only one instance variable is available. What is that? That is the data. You know that I initialize data by 12. Fine, that is possible. It is a base class member. It is not a child class member. Second one is the increment is a method which is override. Now, what actually happens? Compiler, when the method is override, at that moment, compiler unable to do anything. Because when I call the method, take an example here, you see, when I call the method that is a dot increment, what actually happens here? See, when I call a dot increment, compiler unable to bind the method because increment is also available in a base class. Increment method is also available in the child class. But it is called by which class reference? Base class. When it is called by base class reference, remember, the compiler check the availability of the method in which class? Base class. Because it is called by which class reference? Base class reference. So what is the job of the compiler? Remember, that is the job of the compiler is the compiler check the availability of the method in which class? Base class or child class? That is the base class because it is called by which class reference? Base class reference. Clear? Here what happens? If you have any problem, please ask me because this is very important section. So as it is called by the reference of the base class, compiler check the availability of the method in base class. If it is not available, it must generate error. But overriding case it is available, no issues are there. When it is available, but the method is override in the child class. Here you see, in case of overriding, after the child class object is constructed, the JVM bind which class method? That is override method. As JVM bind the override method, here what happens? The JVM call which class method? Child class method. See, as the method is override, you remember Java tells that when the base class reference point to the child class object, it always call the base class member. Only one area it call the child class member. What the area is? Method overriding. Only in case of method overriding, it call the child class member. All other case, it always check the availability of the member in base class. Who check? Compiler check. And whomever compiler binder, JVM bound to call that member. So when the child class member is or method is called, 12 plus 8 is what? 20. Now here you see, I just show you what actually happens. Here you check I just write here. System data output println. There is the data value is what I can do. Data is the member of the base class. I have to call it by base class member. Or A is the reference of the base class. No issues are there. When I call A dot data, A is the reference of the base class, point to the child class object. Now, what is the data value is? 12 plus 8 is 20. If it is called the base class member, must it is 13. But now it is 20 because method is override. In my last class, I covered overriding case. Who bind the method? JVM bind the method. Here what happens? The same rule is applied, but here what happens? I call it by base class reference. When I call it by base class reference, a dot increment I call. Compiler check the availability of the method in base class, but at the runtime, after the child class object is constructed, JVM bind override. Now you see what actually the result is. Check here. Now what I can do here, you see, I just move here. That is here you see we drive. Now here you check. I just move towards that is the find. Here you see that is C4. I just write here. That is the demo. What I can do here, I just do one thing. C that is Java C demo dot. I compile the code of Java C. I write the Java, check what the result is. Now you see, when I write the code, I'm not facing any error message. Why? Because I know the concept. So before you write the code, you must be technically sound to write the code. You must understand what is dynamic method dispatch. What is the dictionary meaning of dynamic method dispatch? The dictionary meaning is method dispatched at runtime. Which method dispatched at the runtime? Override method is dispatched at the runtime. Runtime. Dynamic means runtime. At the runtime, which method is dispatched? Dynamic method is dispatched. Or override method is dispatched. आप लोग that is what getting the concept or not? This concept is very important. They ask you the question, can it implement in a normal class? Yes, it is implement on a normal class. But actually we are implementing it in case of abstract class or in case of interface. So अगर आप लोग का कुछ भी doubt है, please share it to me in the comment line. Then what actually happens? As per the instruction of my team, I can proceed. Is there any doubt or I can proceed? आप शेयर करो, whatever the comments is, you please share it to me, then I can proceed. समझ में आया ना? और कुछ examples आपको दिखाऊं. Are you getting? Examples, fine. देखो और एक चीज दिखा रहा हूं, then you can understand the concept. See, what I can do here, I just write notepad. There is the demo one dot. आपको दिखा रहा हूं. Now I just have a class that is x. X is a it has an instance variable in data. Same way I write. There is the void call. Call is the method. You tell. Call is the method of which class? X class. Or that is still the time it is a method of X class. It is a non-static method. Non-static method means object. Fine. I just write here system data output println dot to see. There is the base class object method dot to see. There is the object method. Now, what is my next job? What I want to do? I just have a method that is called as public. That is the int get data dot to see. What I can do here, that is int data. Now try to understand. Get data is a method. What is the return type of the method? Is the return type of the method is the int. What are the parameters are there? There is only one parameter there. Parameter is int data. That is the parameter name is data. My instance variable name is data. How can I differentiate data? By this keyword. I just write here this dot data is equal to anyway my class is over. I have another class y extends to the x. Y is the child class of x class. It has a method that is a void, so is the method. Can you check? I just write here system data output println dot you see. That is the child class. What I did the object. Yeah, you see, that is the I write here child class object. Now, what I can do, I just use the another rate override. What did it indicate? I want to override this method of a base class. This method I want to override. Now, what I can do? I just write here that is public int get the data. Yeah, you see what I did int x. I just write here data is equal sorry that is data is equal to I just write here that is a system out println dot I write that is I'm in the that is child class. I'm in the here you see here also it generated error. Why it generated error? Because the return type of the method is what? Int. So I just write here system data out data println. I write here that is I'm in the that is the base class. I just write here I'm in the here also I return data, but I did the return data. You know the data is a parameter. I'm returning the parameter. Here also I'm returning what that is the return dot you see that is the return what I pass here. I just return over end of this see what actually I did here that is I just pass here. What is my next job? I just move to the next part. Next part is what I just write here. That is the public class. What the class name is the demo. Demo one is the class. But I can give here public void static void main. What's I pass string AR. I just enter into the main. Now what I can do here, I just write XAA fine. A is the reference of the base class. But here you see A is equal to neo, that is what. But I'm constructing the object of the child class. You know that when I construct the child class object, it will not only hold the member of the child class, but also hold the member of which class? Base class. Are you clear? Hello? Are you getting? So fine. What I can do here, I just write AA dot call. Here there is no problem when I call A dot call. As A is the reference of the base class, compiler check is the call method is available in the base class or not. Yes, it is available. No issues are there. Now after that, what is my next job? I just call A dot show. It's a error. Why it's the error? As it is called by base class reference, compiler check is the show method is available in X class or not? No, it is available in the child class. I have to make it a comment line. Error name is called that is cannot find symbol. Yeah, you see, cannot find symbol. It is not available in base class because it is called by base class reference. It points to the child class object. Child class object hold both base class and child class member. But when I call it by base class reference, compiler must check the availability of the member in which class? Base class. So don't do that. Don't call the show method. But when I write the int result is equal to, I just pass here. That is the AA dot get data dot is that is 109. Now get data method compiler search in base class. Is it available? Yes. But you know that I'm creating the object of which class? Method is override and I'm creating the child class object. This is called as dynamic method dispatch. This concept is called as dynamic method dispatch. This call and show method is not dynamic method dispatch. Only get data method when it is override. This concept is called as that is what. This concept is called as dynamic method dispatch. So it print I'm in the child class because I'm creating the child class object. And remember, Through the child class object, I call the member of the, that is word, I call the member of the child class. Now here you see when I call a dot get data, compiler check availability of member in base class because it is called by base class reference. But the method is override. So JVM check which class object is created, child class. So at the runtime, child class method is called. It print I am in the child class and return 100. Then your is system dot out that is the print array dot advance. That is the result is the what I can do here. That is the result. Anyway, end of the block, end of this. Over. So this concept is called as what? Dynamic method dispatch. Don't tell that call method supports dynamic method dispatch. Don't tell that so method that is what supports dynamic method dispatch. Only one method supports dynamic method dispatch. That is what get data because that method is override. Compiler check the availability of the method in base class, but as the method is override after the child class object is created, JVM bind child class. Are you clear or not? So please share now. You are getting the concept or not? अगर आपको किसी भी डाउट है और किस चीज का भी डाउट है, please share it in the group or in the that is what in these areas. Then I'm explaining that. Yes, someone having the doubt, the way you anyway, any doubts? Okay, fine. So most of the guys, it is understandable. Now, thank you for that comments. So as for because it is very important, but after that I am entering into the next part. हम लोग कहाँ यूज करते हैं? Normally मुझे क्या चाहिए? It is a concrete class. It is a concrete class. What is the need of doing that? Anybody ask you the question, so do one thing. Why not you write here YAA is equal to new Y? Because that is syntactically right. Why you write here XA? You tell that. Sir, it is an example just I show you. But normally we are using it in case of abstract class and interface. That is very important section in particularly Java. What is the abstract class and what is interface? Now, this concept is basically used design pattern called as abstract factory design pattern and a factory design pattern, which is very important, very important. Now, you see, I just show you the example. Now, what I can do, Java C, I just compiled the code, Java C, Java demo, check here. Am I right? Base class object method, I am in the child class, result is 109. Now, here you see, agar may, that is what I avoid this command line, a.so, I want to call so method. So is the method defined in the child class, but I want to call it by the base class reference. What actually happens? I just compile the code error. What the error is? Am I right? Cannot find the symbol. See. So when you are preparing for OCJP or interview nowadays, you must know what type of error or what is the error name, because you are the student of new era, this decade. You are the student of 2020 decade. So what actually happens? This type of question they will ask you. So you first understand what the error name is. So here you see, I just avoid or I make it a comment line because through the base class reference, I never call it member. So remember, where you use dynamic method dispatch, dynamic method dispatch is implemented in abstract class or in interface, because in case of abstract class and interface, you are unable to create the object of abstract class and interface. You only declare the reference of the abstract class and the interface, but you are unable to create the object of the abstract class and interface. Clear? So that's all about the fundamental concept. I just elaborate about dynamic method dispatch. I remember जैसे मैं जब शुरू किया था, मेरा कैरियर शुरू किया था, तब मुझे एक that is what एक कंपनी का मुझे एक क्वेश्चन पूछा था. Now I'm giving the training on that company, corporate training. मैं provide कर रहा हूँ उस कंपनी में. लेकिन वो मुझे पूछा था एक सिंपल प्रोग्राम दे दिया. And I am unable to answer because I was not strong in this part at that moment. When I started my career, I was very poor in programming part. So आज जहाँ पे मैं ट्रेनिंग दे रहा हूँ, कॉर्पोरेट ट्रेनिंग दे रहा हूँ, वहाँ पर मैंने that is what insult होकर आया. So that is not a big deal. देखो आप लोग को fundamentally that is what you must be so strong. Now I take it as revenge. I'm not. That is what I think. I'm not to feel regret that I don't know Java, but I work hard on that area. Now that company, that is what respond me in a bad way. आज मैं वहां पर corporate training दे रहा हूँ. तो आप छोड़ दो. देखो मुझे क्या क्वेश्चन पूछे थे मैं आपको दिखा रहा हूँ. आप देख लो. That is what type of question they will ask you. That is I just write here demo2 dot. What actually happens here? I just write class A is a simple. I just write here public void add is a method. Here I pass. Sorry, there is a double d1 double. There is d2. Anyway. What I can do here, I just write the system dot sorry, there is the system dot output println. Dot I pass. There is a sum is. Dot I pass. What I can do here? Sorry, sum is. The one class that is anyway end of the block end of this. I just write the class B extends that is B inherited from A. I write here public void add. Now I pass int x comma int. That is the add is the method that is defined in the base class, and add is also a method that is defined in the child. What I can do here, I just write the system dot out dot println dot ec. I just write that is the addition is yeah, you see what I can do. That is the x plus y. I just write here x plus y. Fine. I write here public class. What the class name is the demo. I did the same job A. A is the reference of the A class. A is equal to neo. That is, I'm creating the object of the child. Now A dot add I pass here 12 comma 88. Now the question is C. They ask you the question, what is the result? Result is what? Dot you see, I just write here, sorry, public fine. There is you see, static. There is anyway void main. What I pass here, string. There. Now you just check the code and tell me what is the result. Yes, can anybody please that is specify, please share it in comment what is the result, because I already covered every concept I covered. Please tell me what is the result. Anybody? Yes. Anyone? Please share in the comments. I expect the result. It is just the interaction session. Don't feel that someone feel bad. No. You just please share me what is the result. Yes. Share in comment, please. Okay, fine. No one share me comment, so I want the class must be interactive. A is the reference of the base class, but point to the child class object. You know that this is the concept of overloading. It is not overriding. It is overloading. When the concept is overloading, you know that your compiler bind the method. Here what happens? As I call a dot add, compiler check add method is available in the base class or not. Yes, available. But the parameter is a double type. Here the argument is a int type. No issues. But here what happens when I call it by base class reference? Compiler unable to call the child class member. It always called the base class member. When it call the base class member, what it writes? Sum is 100.0 because it is a int. 12 is a int. 88 is a int. Int is auto converted to double. It is 12.0, 88.0. Because it is the concept of word. I am creating the child class object, but it refers to which class reference? Base class. No way, even if parameters are same with the child class method, no way it is able to call the child class member. Only one area it call the child class member. That area is method overriding. But here what happens? I am not use overriding. I am using overloading. Overloading can be possible in the same class and also possible in the child class. Remember, overloading supports the yearly binding because compiler binds the method. When the method name same, parameters are different. Compiler treat them as a different method. So they will occupy different memory area from start. Two different memory area they will occupy from start. One will occupy the memory area from this part of the stack. Another one occupy the memory area from this part of the stack. So here what happens? Compiler unable to bind the child class method because it is an inheritance. Inheritance case child class object hold both the member, but as it is called by base class reference, compiler always check the base class member. Now what happens? The base class member is double, but at the calling time I am passing int. Int occupy 4 byte, double occupy 8 byte. It is auto converted. Don't tell that addition is 100. You tell that sum is 100.0. See, I just show you this type of questions they will ask you. Java C demo 2, sorry, demo 2 dot Java. There is Java demo. See here, am I right? Sum is 100.0. So careful. So these are very important part in case of Java. I just elaborate what is called as dynamic method dispatch. Dynamic method dispatch is also called as EJ relation. So you know that EJ relation, HJ relation, inheritance. EJ relation supports word inheritance. So it is similar to word EJ relation. You try to understand object having a relationship with another object. That is fine. Okay, that is 100.0. Fine. That is la, that is Labra Raina Rania. Okay, anyone? I think you are not specifying your name. So anyway, thank you. You are providing the right answer. So anyway, that's the concept is covered. I covered this concept. So really, if you provide this type of result also, it gives me lots of satisfaction because I anticipate that when you are facing interview, you have to boost your moral courage. So take an example, I know the concept, but I'm unable to answer, then it is really bad for me. So anyway, you have to boost your moral courage and please face the interview in a, that is why I explain all these things. Now interview sessions are going on in different colleges. That is the reason for that I'm in live classes. So I'm giving you the tricks and I give you the tricks from where you are facing some questions. There is no other intention is there. Obvious intention is also another intention is there. Intention is what I can reach so many students because I am a trainer. For a trainer, number is very important. So anyway, that is my intention is you please boost your moral courage and try to face the interview. Okay. Anyway, that's all about dynamic method dispatch. Now, after dynamic method dispatch, I enter into another powerful topic that is called as anonymous inner class. I'm not covered the total inner class. I'm covering the main part because I saw that most of the time interviewer asks you the question what is called as anonymous inner class. Now we enter into the next topic that is called as the anonymous. Sorry, that is the anonymous. That is the inner class. I think anybody please tell me what is the meaning of anonymous. Anonymous means what? Having no name. So that is what happens. Having no name is called as anonymous. Fine. Agree. That is having no name is called as anonymous. Anonymous inner class means class having no name. But if you tell like that, a class having no name is called as anonymous inner class, then they reject you from the interview point of view. That is not the right answer. So remember, you have to understand four terms or four lines. Only four lines you have to remember. Most of the guys tell that, sir, anonymous inner class is very difficult, but I tell that you are my student, you must be different from others. So you remember the tricks only to what is anonymous inner class. First, in case of anonymous inner class, the name of the class is given by compiled, not by program. I'm a programmer. I'm not given the name of the inner class. But the name of the inner class is given by compile. That is the first point. First point is what the name of the inner class is given by given by compiler. Compiler give the name. Now come to the second point. What the second point is? That is in case of anonymous inner class, the declaration and instantiation of the class done on the same line. I declare and instantiate the class within the same line. Then move to the third point. What is the third point? Anonymous inner class must be the child class of the class which is used after new keyword. Fourth, it supports the additional feature of method overriding. Remember, method overriding is only possible in case of inheritance. I already covered. So it tells that the fourth point is it supports the additional feature of method overriding. So if I explain these 4 points, the 4 points you just justify in front of the examiner, they understand that you know the concept. Another time I will, yeah, please remember the concept is very important. First is the name of the class is given by the compiler, not by the program. Second point is the declaration and instantiation of the class done on the same line. Third point is it must be the child class of the class used after new keyword. Fourth point is it supports the additional feature of method override. At last, you just remember a fundamental concept. It is nothing else. It is an alternate of inheritance. It is nothing else. It is an alternate of inheritance. We remember that is when we are facing or when we are moving towards any seminar like I remember in 2009-10, I am moving towards NIT Raurkela. At that moment, I just play a game. One guy is very smart in that is C++. That guy tells that, sir, can you create the object of the abstract class? Intentionally, that person asked me the question. I tell that yes, I'm able to create the object of the abstract class. That guy tell no, you can't do it because you are unable to deviate the rules of object-oriented concept. I just write the simple code. You please check. Then you understand. I play the game in front of that person. See, what I can do here, I just do you an example, test.jump. See, what is anonymous inner class, then you understand. I just write. That is public abstract class. That is test. Test is a abstract. I just did one thing. Enter data. Data is an instance. I have a constructor that is test having a non-parameterized constructor. Within the constructor, I just write the system.out.println. I write here that is hello. That is Java lover. I just write here hello Java. Anyway, I just write here void call. I just write here system.out.println. I write here that is the abstract class. You know that abstract class cannot be instantiated. You never create the object of the abstract class. I just write the public abstract void set data that is the int m. That is the abstract method. I just write the public abstract int get data. It is also a abstract. You know that abstract method is only declared in abstract class. You are able to define the constructor within the abstract class. The method is a non-static method. You can define within it. No issues are there. Now I just what I can did. I play the game because I never want that person captures my stage because I am calling by a organization for showing my talents. But that person deviated me. So I play a bad game. So what I did here, I just use public find static void main. I pass here string here. I just enter into the main. Check here. What I can do here, I just write test static is equal to neo test. See, here I make the mistake, or here I make the game. When I write test std is equal to new test, I saw that in this way I am creating the object because in case of anonymous inner class, the name of the class is not given by me, but the name of the class is given by compiler. As the name of the class is given by compiler, this is anonymous. I am using anonymous inner class. Here you see, at the wait override, just write public void set the data. I just write here in the text. I just write here data is equal to what I can do. I just write at the rate override. Override. What I can do here, that is the public int get data dot. I just write here return over, that is the end of the block, end of this. So remember, from here to here is called as anonymous. Another time I recap the 4 points. See the program. In case of anonymous inner class, the name of the class is given by compiler. Nowhere I specify the name of the class. The name of the class is given by compiler. Second, it must be the child class of the class used after new keyword. Anonymous inner class must be the child class of which class? Abstract class test. Another time, anonymous inner class must be the child class of the class used after new keyword. After new keyword, I use test. So it is the child class of test. Third, the declaration and instantiation of the class done on the single line. This line terminates here. I declare the class because I am not specify the name. Name is specified by the compiler. I declare the class and instantiate the class in the same line. Because line is terminated by semicolon. This line terminated here. Last one. It supports the additional feature of method overriding. You know that method overriding is only possible in case of inheritance. And anonymous inner class is nothing else. It is alternate of inheritance. See, I just do one thing, tt dot call, and I show that guy. देखो अगर tt not points to the object of the abstract class, how it call the callback? That person is trapped by me. I really trapped that guy. So first, when I call the child class constructor, it must implicitly call the base class constructor. What it means? Hello Java lover. Then when I call tt.call through the child class object, I'm able to call the base class member. Abstract class it print. Then I set the data tt dot set the data. I just write here. That is 109. I said. That is a system dot out dot print line dot. That is the data value is. What I can do? tt dot get see I just return what 100. So this concept in Java is called as what? Anonymous inner class. So I'm just showing you one example. Now you check that example I saw in front of that student, and I just tracked that student. No error. You see, Java test. Am I right? Hello Java lovers. Abstract class data value is equal to 100. Clear? See, this is an example of what anonymous inner class. So I'm giving you the tricks of anonymous inner class, how to remember anonymous inner class. I covered when anybody asks you the question, what is the anonymous inner class? Please explain like this. So please, anyone having any doubts, please share to me in the comment, and my team will explain, or my team will, that is what, instruct me to, that is what, whatever the doubt. Or you just take your time. Today I completed the session. So please, at last I told you, please subscribe our channel, inform your friends, they can join, make the session interactive. That is what the students join in our link. Thank you for sharing the message in front of your friends and relatives. So please inform them, they can join, they can also interact with me. So thank you. And last, you just remember from which region you have specified that. So as per that, I can explain the concept in that way. Thank you.